I'm Ruben Lindo, founder and CEO of Blak Farms and president of the Herbn Couture experience. We came into the cannabis industry, we could never really get the information and meet with the right people and network with the right people. So we created this exclusive event where we brought celebrities, entertainers, athletes, and common folks together to talk about the cannabis industry. And then it gave birth into In the Clouds movement, where we started hosting these luxury dinners and bringing the same folks in the room, but just adding industry professionals and networking opportunities and investment opportunities. So it was like Shark Tank around the dinner table. It expanded into something beyond that. And then the last one we did in California, we did it out in Indio, California, where we rented a mansion, and we had about 200 to 300 people bust in from LA, and we had international cannabis executives, and we had executives from all over the United States come in and meet with prospective cannabis business owners. In 2019, I came back to New York, and we launched the Herbn Couture luxury cannabis networking dinner, and we did that at Fortune Valley Manor in Saugerties. And it was a great setting because we were like underneath in a renovated barn, very high end, and I brought in Steve D'Angelo, who was world-renowned cannabis expert, and chief of police and others under one roof to have this real conversation about cannabis. And we did it in a luxury setting. This is our 4th year. We had such an overwhelming demand, so we're back August 9th, and we changed it up a little bit. We honor folks, we give out awards, we call them the Herbies. The name Herbn Couture is a play on words, on urban as in urban, like city, U-R-B-A-N, and urban as in cannabis or herb. And the Herbies, you know, funny enough, we say that we like to give people their flowers. So again, we play on the double entendre of cannabis being flower and giving people their flowers. And we've honored some tremendous folks, from Roz McCarthy from the Minorities for Medical Marijuana, Aaron Gorman Kirk, who's the first cannabis ombudsman in the world, in the state of Connecticut. We've brought in people from Alabama, we've brought in people from South Africa, Jersey. We don't just focus on New York, right? We really look for those folks that are leading the charge, who are often not recognized for the work that they do, and we like to recognize them. And this award's become kind of the talked about award. Like, if you get an Herbie, then it means that you've moved the needle in dealing with us. So it's funny, I used to say I had these idols. My mentor was a guy by the name of Thomas McKiernan, who by the grace of God will be at the event this year. Tom taught me how to be a CEO. I've always thought I was a CEO until I brought him in when I was named CEO of another company that I won't mention. I was the first African American CEO, and I had to learn how to be a CEO. I had to learn how to be a leader. I was a manager. I could manage tasks and people. Being a CEO is totally different than just being a manager and a task manager, and Tom taught me that. As far as idols that I look up to, you know, I always pay homage to my brother. My brother taught me how to be a man, right? Without a father in the house, not having a relationship with my father. My brother, God rest his soul, was the guy who taught me how to be who I am. From everything from dress, how to tie a tie, when to wear a suit, when to button your buttons on your jacket, where to wear a lapel pin, when not to wear it. You know, I learned from him, right? He was my inspiration, and I looked up to him. He's 8 years older, was 8 years older than me. He passed away in 2015. And also another idol, I keep it close to my family. My mother, going through what she went through, having a baby at the age of 16, elevating us as a family, getting us out of the city, moving us upstate, giving us the best of the best education, teaching us how to articulate our ideas and communicate in a world that's not designed for folks that look like us to excel. And also my mother was a Black Panther, right? So my mother shared space and time with Angela Davis, Marcus Garvey, Bobby Seale, Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton's another person that I kind of look up to. And in the business world, I used to look up to Warren Buffett a lot. I like Warren's strategy and his thought of the world. He's a very modest, humble billionaire. And, you know, everyone always thinks about this question, right? If you could have 5 minutes with any person in the world, who would it be? And I used to say, honestly, I used to say I wanted it to be Jay-Z, right? Because I thought like Jay-Z had this charismatic way about him, and I was fortunate enough to consult for Jay-Z, so I actually got my opportunity to spend time with him, and I realized that he's very similar to me. The only thing that separates him from me is his ability to have access to rooms because of his wealth. But on an intellectual level, you know, Jay-Z and his former CEO really leaned on me to make some business decisions in this cannabis space, which, you know, I'm blessed to be able to say that I did that. So outside of that, you know, idol-wise, business-wise, none. But celebrity, I'd love to have had a chance to hang out with Muhammad Ali. I would have loved the chance to hang out with maybe Elton John, right? Like those guys, you know, they were movements within a movement, and really they brought an element of humanitarianism to the world. And I think, like, you know, that's what I want my legacy to be, right? I own 3 great cannabis companies. We do great work. We're launching something that no one's ever launched anywhere in the world coming up at the end of August. That announcement will hit the media. But to say all that, I'm just blessed to be able to be where I am and share my experience with folks and get people to understand what we do in the industry. 10 years ago when I came home from prison, 12 years ago when I came home from prison, my motivation was integrity, right? My motivation shifted. I used to be motivated by wealth and fame. I wanted to be wealthy. I was a former athlete. I wanted to recapture that 10 minutes of fame in a bottle. And now really what motivates me is the same thing that motivated me yesterday, that will motivate me tomorrow, and that's leaving a lasting legacy, making sure that the world is a better place than when I entered it, when I leave it, and making sure that my kids understand that I was more than just an athlete, more than a formerly convicted felon. I want people, my motivation is I want people to know me as a humanitarian, someone who Ruben does what he says and means what he says. You know, I'm not perfect, I make mistakes, but, you know, I strive not for perfection, I strive for the ultimate hierarchy of love and humanity and respect. One of the things that excites me the most about the event is when we get to give people these books. These notebooks are the staple of how I learned the cannabis industry. And people always say, why do you give out notebooks at your event? When you register, you'll get this notebook, and in this notebook, you'll write down all the information of all the people that you meet at the event, notes, questions that you have, and you'll take this notebook home, and this Herbn Couture notebook becomes your field guide to being in the cannabis industry. And that's why we give them out. That's why we have them custom printed. We give out a notebook and a pen to everybody who registers and comes through the door. It's your takeaway. And then also, we do our Herbn Couture infused products. So this is an infused pepper olive oil, red pepper olive oil. It's 50 milligrams of THC. You don't drink the whole bottle. So in a dose, you might get 1 to 2 grams of THC, nothing that's gonna overpower you. But we use this olive oil as a bread dipping sauce, and we've also tossed pasta with it. This year is going to be our launch year. We're going to be available here in New York in dispensaries on shelves. So, you know, look for the Herbn Couture brand This is our first product coming out. The next two products are gonna be our high-end luxury chocolates and then our beverage. The most exciting part about hosting an Herbn Couture event is seeing people's faces when they walk in the room and they're meeting with other people, building those human connections, building those bonds, watching people who normally wouldn't have access or wouldn't really ask for access come in and enjoy themselves. And you know, one of the other things that really inspires me is, you know, I love the look on my wife's face when she sees these interviews, right? And I love the look on her face when she sees us honoring people, because she's behind the scenes, right? She's the one who's behind the scenes. She is the president of the, or vice president of the event organization, and you know, the work that she puts into it and the team. But really, like, I love sitting back, and someone captured a picture at the last event of her sitting at the table just admiring the room. And you know, and that's to me one of the best feelings, is knowing that we've pulled it off. You know, I always tell people, throwing an event, the idea is, I call it a duck event, right? Because a duck underwater, we're paddling like hell, but on top we look calm, cool, and collective. And everything in the world could be burning around us, but we still, as hosts of these events, we have to be calm, cool, and collected. And that's what we do. And it is, we have not had a bad event yet, knock on wood, and we don't plan on it. August 9th, we're going to be back at the Wire Event Center in Cooksaki at the James Newbury Hotel. If you've never been, it's probably one of the hidden gems of the Capital District / Hudson Valley. Waterfront property right on the Hudson, beautifully renovated. We're excited this year because we're doing something a little bit different. The theme of this year's event, last event was Elevate the Culture. This year's event is Culture is Currency. And the whole theme around culture is currency is getting people to understand that, you know, what we do in the cannabis industry, what we do as businesses, you know, people say we're a nascent industry, but we're not. Cannabis has been around for a long time. It's been a commodity. It's been an asset to communities, especially communities of color, poor communities. It's always been that currency that moved the needle, right? So people have always had reefer, ganja, weed in their communities, and it was always a staple commodity. It was a way that people provided for their kids to play Little League or bitty basketball or put bread and cheese on the table, right? So we always say our culture is currency. This year, we're gonna honor some amazing folks. I have a very special guest coming, because the pillar of what we do, at the core of everything that we do, all of my companies, is criminal justice reform and prison reform, and really leveling the playing field for formerly convicted individuals. And this year we have an individual who we're gonna honor who was up against a real tough time. He was fully exonerated. They reversed the decision on his exoneration and tried to put him back in jail for 17 years. And we're gonna honor him. His name is Andre Brown. Andre and his wife, they are gonna get the Herbie for Perseverance this year. Just the way, watching him go through this in this tumultuous time. He was released for 2 years, and then on Christmas Eve, he got a letter that said he had to return back to prison for 17 years for a crime he didn't even commit, right? So we're gonna work this year in highlighting him. I've done a lot of work with his family. And I just figured, you know, outside of cannabis, we're gonna honor him. We're gonna honor 2 other business owners, and I'm working on a big Lifetime Achievement Award, which I won't go into, but it's of a local hero here to Catskill, Hudson, Saugerties area. And if I can get him in the room, we are gonna honor him with a Lifetime Achievement Award this year, and it'll be the first Lifetime Achievement Award we're giving out as an Herbie. So people can get tickets at herbencouture.com, HERBNCOUTURE.com. You can also find our event registered on Reg events. You'll be able to follow us on social media, on IG. Our IG is Herbn Couture. And then the other place will be through the media, right? 518 Media. We're going to push it out through media channels, and you know, just look around for it, right? If people really want to come to the event and on it, you can also hit me up, Ruben Lindo, on Instagram or on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, or even on Facebook, and we'll get you a ticket to the event and get you in the room. I think that if you have an interest in understanding the cannabis industry, come learn from real professionals, real industry executives. There's a lot of hyperbole out there. There's a lot of people who are pretending to know about this industry. We bring the people who know the industry, from the lawyers to the accountants to the bankers in the room, and then the business owners. This year we're going to feature CFA, the Cannabis Farmers Alliance, and we're going to bring in a bunch of New York State cannabis retailers in the room. So if you have an interest in opening a dispensary, talk to them, right? If you have an interest in growing weed, talk to the cultivators. I'll have them in the room. That's it.